Namaste everyone. Very warm welcome to Satsang today. Sadguru Shri Muji Baba ki Jai. So today I feel we'll make it questions day. I feel like I've been sharing a lot, and also it appears to me that a lot of digestion of the sharing is happening. It's good if I get some questions or feedback, so I know what is happening with all of you. Krishna, I would like to come up. You can come back.
Can you hear me, Father?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, hi. Namaste, Father. Actually, I'm not quite sure why I came up, but just felt to just come up, There's no burning question as such, but just to come up.
If there's one stubborn thought that you believe about yourself, that you want to expose in the fire of Satsang, what would that be?
I think the one stubborn thought, Father, would be a feeling that there is something to get or there is something to do, Father.
This is very good. To spot this is very good.
What, Father? I can hear you. The what? Can you say again?
Maybe you have to mute while I speak so that it's not confusing. I was saying that to spot this is very good. Because this is very, very deeply ingrained in the nature of a spiritual seeker. We start off with the notion that I have to seek something and I will find it. And when I find it, then I will be free. But all that you are discovering in Satsang here is that what you've always been, what has always been here, as your very existence. But because the conditioning has been so strongly ingrained that I have to get something. It can feel like I have to get my existence also. Am I really getting this? Is it? But you are it. Is it? Your being is effortlessly present. Everything else comes and goes, needs effort, needs time. But you are beyond these things. And the minute we buy this notion that there must be something to get, something that I have to do, you see, this notion makes a seeker out of us. But the seeker also is just another name for the person, for the limited idea of the individual existence. So I'm glad you highlighted this one because this is very, very prevalent. Have I got it? Am I getting it? When will I get there? And the notion of getting means that I have to become that. You see. I will realize the self only when I get something, or I will become the true self. And in this, again, our starting point becomes personal. So our perspective becomes that I am an individual limited entity and I have to get it. And then I will be free. But what I'm saying is that look at truly what your starting point already is. Once you see that in the beginning itself, you are all there is, then what to do with the idea of getting something? These are the gifts of our notionless existence. As we don't create a notional, conceptual boundary about ourselves, as we include all sensations and perceptions in our own being, and we see that I witness all of this. There is only one without another, and that is myself. And this is your starting point already. You see, this is the best news. So now, like you said, it's just a stubborn habit to go to this seeking, to go to this idea of becoming or getting. The ocean started to believe itself to be a drop. The ocean came to its own self-recognition. So it is only the falls that dropped away, the drop that dropped away. The ocean was just what it always was. And I'm sure it's a pretty common thought for many of us. And today we can use this opportunity. As one is exposing it, let's all of us expose it in the fire of Satsang and surrender it here. In the light of your own true seeing, or in the trust that you feel for the Master. Not one step you need to move, not 1 inch. has to change. More natural than being where you are is just being. More natural than sitting on a chair. More natural than any position that you can take is the completely enlightened being. And that is you. As being, you are ever free. And the pretend person never existed anyway. Yes, I'll read one question from the chat. So the short version of what Aparna is saying is that there still comes some anger towards you. The mind says, you, Father, is not helping me get rid of the me. How much am I going to go through? So much I have trusted you and faith. Why do I still have to go through so much? And why is Father not giving moksha to this mind? And when she says Father, she's including all the big guns also, like Bhagwan and Yogi Ram Surat Kumar. You see, this trust, and exactly this is the few rare ones, few rare highlights of satsang here that I posted on my own timeline, which is the interaction with you only yesterday. We talked about the meaning of true surrender and true devotion. Our idea of trust is, I trust you, make things happen my way. And that does not mean trust at all. Trust means whichever way Bhagwan is keeping me, that is the way I am meant to be. Our mind hates this idea because without this idea of where I'm supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be, how my life is supposed to be, there is no utility for the mind, no use for it. So it will resist this idea with all its might. Like Guruji says, the fear is if I hand over my existence to God or Sadguru, then what if he makes a mess out of it? Does that sound like trust? It is not trust. The mind job is to make distinction. It makes distinctions between one body and another body. It calls one body me, it calls another body other. But where is this me? In this very moment, the one that is not dissolved. Can you find that one? This me that all of us are fighting and trying to get rid of does not exist naturally in this minute. You have to bring the past into it. You have to project the future. You see? Actually, I see this too, she says. This me is not here. Then, got rid of the me or no? You said, help me get rid of the me. So you see that this me is not here. Done. So how to get rid of that which doesn't exist? Only by drawing our belief in it. Easy. I see the space, in fact, getting carried away with these sensations which arise. And there is never trouble with sensations in themselves. It is just the interpretations of these sensations. You see, me is not a feeling. It is that these feelings are interpreted as separation. All feelings arise in the great inclusive space, the great inclusion that is you. But we look at some feelings and say, this makes the me possible. This is me. This is the big trick. Just an idea. If you had no notion of separation, if you had no idea of me and other, then who is doing what to who? All our grievances, all our resentment, they fall away. The trouble that happens sometimes for all of us is that we see this clearly. Just saying this. We see this clearly. But quickly as we are seeing this, the mind will come and say, but what about when satsang ends? Then you still have your family to deal with and all this thing. But none of what I'm saying now actually will change. Otherwise, I would be speaking nonsense. If it was just temporary, then it would be just another set of concepts. But what you're finding is the unchanging truth about what you are. This does not change. What is happening is here one moment. I am here in this me, she says. And then I move to this space-like thing. What perceives both of this? Whatever the seeming movement might be, what happens to that which perceives this? That is what I'm pointing you to. So it is not that this spaciousness is a movement, that suddenly I look and it becomes spacious. No, this spaciousness is always there. It is just that we don't recognize it usually. But when we come to satsang and we are pointed to it, it is seen that all sensations, all movements are within this one being, one existence. But we have used ideas and concepts to create a me there where none exists. And then this me, like the thief itself, pretending to be the policeman, says, rid me of me. Yes, now she has mic. Okay, you can speak. Unmute. Okay. Possible to unmute. You can come.
Mr. Farooq.
Still don't see you.
Can you hear me, Farooq?
I can hear you well.
I don't know what to speak on behalf.
I'm getting a request to mute during the time when you're speaking, but I'm not sure whether you.
Okay. I'm speaking now. This is I feel so childish and so what to say. It's just very silly and stupid. I feel now to come up every time and speak to you about the same thing again. And I'm just getting tired of this whole thing happening. I'm not sure what is happening because there's so much of pain coming up, and I don't know if it is auto-generated or what. I don't know, but there's so much intense pain and suffering. It comes. I feel there is. Maybe there is expectation from my end that that there should be what to say, some relief. If not, like, you go to the doctor, you straight away get some painkiller at least to ease your pain. So something like that. It's not that maybe I'm not expecting it should be my way or your way, but there should at least thing is, okay, I'm in satsang for 2 years or more than that. I'm not sure how long the suffering will go. I mean, honestly, when I was in Australia, before I came here, I think I had almost forgotten what is suffering, even though there was pain. But I think I forgot what is suffering actually. Honestly, I felt like that. And then since I've come here from 2016, I don't feel that I'm getting rid of suffering, but there is pain every day, every moment is coming up, and there's so much of suffering adding on and on and on. And I feel like, okay, maybe you're not doing something about it, or you're not. I know you're doing something. Definitely, you're doing something. It's just that my interpretation that you're not doing something. And what is happening is also good because it's pushing me inward, actually, because I felt like that day when I felt like I have to give up on you and everyone, I felt like, okay, I should just forget about spirituality because I think I felt like I'm clinging to you people as well, like you, Bhagwan, or whatever. I'm trying to get some kind of comfort from coming to you. If I tell you something, maybe I feel better. I think that is also not required for me now. And if I go this way, they're also pushing me out. People around me, the family, they're pushing me out from this end, and you're pushing me out from that end. So I'm squashed, I'm squashed. I don't know what is happening to me, and I have nowhere to go. So it's like, just like, you can imagine what it is. So.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I just want to remind you that this is the nature of the mind. We met in the retreat. We had a beautiful meeting. And you said to me that, Father, only thing I want to do for the rest of my life is say thank you to you. Yeah. Not so long ago. The rest of my life, the only thing I want to do is say thank you to you.
Just a month ago, exactly a month ago.
And within a month, it has gone from that, saying, I don't know what you're doing, you're not helping me at all, there's no end to suffering. You see? And this is the nature of the mind. This is the nature of me. It is completely unreliable. And yet we rely on it to make a position for ourselves. You see? That's why here it is clear that when seemingly beautiful moments are coming and beautiful praise is coming, I know this too shall pass. And I know when anger is coming, tantrums are coming, all this is coming, I also know that this too shall pass. The thing that is happening is that, you see, as long as you carry this me around and you keep checking on what's happening to this me. Now here it was like this, who was in Australia and who is here now? When you check, you find that I have not moved. All these appearances are changing in my own light. This is clear to you, I know this. And yet, when the story comes, oh, when I was in Australia, I was not suffering. And yet there were many interactions we had from Australia also where you were suffering. So don't go with these unreliable reports on the mind. It is just selling you a story which has no reality. What is it that you truly are? The only end to this suffering which you are experiencing is to let go of this story of me, to this idea of me. See? What happens for you is that the way that the world is meeting you right now, in the form of your family, in the form of your relationships, it can feel like this is too oppressive, this is too unfair, this is just so unjust. See? So these buttons are being pressed. And then you're looking to spirituality for some sort of relief from that suffering which is coming from these close attachments. And that is why my advice to you is that these situations will keep changing. The people involved in the situation will keep changing. Although now it might feel like, okay, it is only these people who can cause me suffering. You see? But it is not that. It is the design of this play in which events and people will keep changing. And as long as we are holding on to this idea that my life, me should be a certain way, including the idea of where is the relief, at least relief should be there. You see, you say, I have no expectations, I don't want anything from you, but at least relief should be there. You see, that is immediately an idea. That is immediately an expectation. And this expectation is giving you the pain. You see, the emotional, the psychological pain that is there, it is only because you have an idea that my master, my parents, my family should not be this way. But the world is what the world is. You see? As long as we keep having this argument with what is appearing, it can feel like there is no peace. And this argument is another name for the ego. Ego is nothing but a resistance to what is.
It's actually, I can, with all these things happening, I can see that I'm being pushed to release, to say to open up. I can see the buttons being pushed only to open up more, to not have more expectations, not to expect to be this way, that way. The work is happening, but it's very intense, Father. It's even now I don't know. There is one side it says like I shouldn't be talking to you right now because I'm still angry with you, something like that. That thing is there, and then still the body is talking to you automatically. I didn't even plan to come. I thought I won't speak to you at all, but still I'm talking. I'm surprised by myself how I'm talking to you. With so much anger towards you. I can't believe this is happening, seriously. And I have no choice. I'm still talking to you. I'll talk to you anyway. I started talking to you. It's like, don't speak to him. Why are you talking? And I'm still talking. Oh my God, this is crazy. And
use this as an opportunity.
I am.
This voice which is saying, don't speak to him. You see? Because that one wants the power.
It's not in the form of a voice, Father. It's the form of feeling, actually.
Ah.
It's not in the form of voice. I can
Yes.
feel that. No.
The feeling might be, there is an interpretation of what it means, isn't it? Stay with the feeling. Stay with the feeling. Without interpretation, it is just what it is. You see? When it is interpreted saying, this is saying no, this is saying no, don't talk to father. You see? And this is just remnants of that energetic movement that we dealt with mostly in the retreat. You see? It can have this sort of residue and still try to claim control back in some way. You see? So don't worry about this. Stay with that which is the witness of all of this. You see very nicely that this is what the voice is saying. This is what the feeling is like. You see? And what are you saying in that? I am perceiving both of these. What is happening to that which perceives them?
Nothing. And I can see that too.
That. So which one are you? Are you the feeling, the thought, or the perceiver of them?
This is where it somehow the answer is to this question is not yet convinced, or to say what answer. Even though it's clear that I am the perceiver of all these, but there is no willingness to say yes, I am that, or
Yes.
I don't know the answer to that question.
But look at this situation. You see, it's like saying, what is the color of the rug in front of you? What is the color of the carpet in front of you? And you say that I see it is red, but something is stopping me from saying red. You see, this something, you see, is the trickster. It's just getting in the way of your insight about yourself and saying, don't admit that, because then where will I go? What will I do? Once you see that nothing is happening to that which perceives all things, you see, then whatever the mind is reporting about you and convincing you that this is true, my masters are abandoning me, my family doesn't love me, I'm being pushed from all sides. You see, which me are we talking about? In your inside, you're finding that there is no such me which is being pushed from any side. You see? But because there has been investment in that story, if you admit that so simply, the mind is very upset. You see? And for days I've had this story, and he just comes and says, but look, it's not real, it's not true. Obviously, it can seem a bit upsetting to the mind.
My heart feels very heavy now. I can see, Father, what you're saying. I can see that. So there is no response coming to what you're saying. I can see that, but yeah, I can see, Father, what you're saying. And I don't want to stop this here, because again, if I stop there, it means that I want to back off. I'm not yet, or it feels there's no that, because what I've been noticing past few days in this struggle is I'm oscillating from here to there, here to there, here to there. The moment previously I would feel I'm the body, but I don't even feel now I'm the body. I feel the space clearly, very clearly. I can see the space. I'm the space, and this body is in the space, and all these things. I have to use the but this whole story things happen. It's still somewhere happening, and that feels a bit real. So that's where the struggle is, and well, I can still see that there's nothing happening to me. I'm perceiving all these things, but some energy is still invested in the story and in me. I don't know how to not get rid of it, but I know, Father, I've been listening to the satsang so much, and all the pointers are here, and there is ready available. Oh, okay. Okay, my daughter is sick. I'll have to go and pick her up. I got a call from the school, Father. My daughter is sick. I'll have to go. So this is my trick again. So please bless her, Father, please. Thank you, Father. I'll come back and speak. I have to go.
Yes. Take care. We'll speak soon, my dear. And then says, ego does not like the master. It wants master to bow down to it, yes. But master's job is to show its non-existent worth. That is why master is not a persona, but God himself. The physical appearance of the master is just the instrument for your own Sadguru, which is your own holy presence. So this Sadguru, this voice, this intuitive presence, your own divine existence is God himself. This is what happens with positions. All positions are coming and going and are inherently unstable. So grateful, I'm so angry, I'm so this thing, I'm so. Okay? Now we're removing the platform for these positions. The I, which can take on these limited positions, itself is being seen, and it is seen that it is not true. It has no tangible reality. Then where to put this position on? Nothing. And she's saying herself that all I find is space. And this space is positionless. But you are not even, there can be this idea that you are this kind of space. No, you are that space in which even this space is coming. You're indescribable, actually.
So I think I had a question, but can I just say I need to expose something?
Yes, thank you.
So just so it's, just
No,
so I don't back off. You know?
Oh, okay. You want to
just
put your
so
place
you
in
know.
the queue, yes.
Well, sort of, yeah.
Yes,
But I just want to more like not
back off from scene.
Yeah.
But louder or closer?
You can finish. Finish.
Yeah, okay. It's really simple, and you'll just blow it all apart, I'm sure. So, so the exposure, like at the beginning when Krishna was speaking, you said, "What is it?"
Yeah.
The
one stubborn thought.
Stubborn thought. So I think from ever since the beginning of Satsang with you, and I maybe never exposed it, so I'll do it.
Yeah.
And that is this sense of unworthiness. Yeah. And not wanting to admit that has been a big thing. It's like the alcoholic not wanting to admit they have a drinking problem. And so it's been there though, and it still is, but it's lighter, but it's not as strong because over Satsang it's been taken care of a lot. But it keeps coming back.
What is the evidence it uses to convince you that you are not worthy? Does it feel like,
like
you don't get enough attention?
Yes,
that kind of thing.
That kind of thing. I don't know. Yes, that's a good one. Maybe other things like, okay. You know, I want to be recognized for certain things. They're not being recognized, or just feeling small because I'm not feeling like fitting in. All of these things, you know, not fitting in anywhere, not just in Satsang or wherever I go, wherever this persona that claims this is that they're unworthy. But the subtle thing and the worst thing in this, because this is something I can deal with, this is something that can be seen and brushed aside, is the opposite to that. And that's arrogant enough. But the other is the sense of being very worthy, and like believing all these Advaita ideas that there's nobody there to be, and you know what, I don't know if like that makes sense, but just like feeling more than worthy, feeling supremely worthy, feeling like because there's this thing that moves in and tries to correct that sense of unworthiness, and you know, and then it just gets to be too extremes, and then I get mad at other people for saying they're not worthy because I have to feel like if they're worthy, then I'm worthy. You know, it's just a kind of a big mix. So by myself, there's no problem, but the world that is appearing with this form of someone living in it and living a life in it has to be interacting and so a lot of this unworthiness, of course, and I don't think this is an uncommon thing.
Yeah, of course.
So like from a very early age, lots of evidence, like you call it, has come about. Insecurities have grown and grown and grown with this identity. And it just comes to this point where it's not gone away just because Satsang's happening. So.
Very good what you're sharing. And it's also very good that you looked at both opposite positions of that.
What you're saying.
And actually it's two sides of the same coin, exactly. So let's look at it very, very objectively, if possible. Based on whatever I'm sharing in Satsang. If you were to take a call and say, how much worthiness should be there in one to discover what I'm pointing to? A call on it and say, this much worthiness is needed.
Yeah,
Nothing. Because the only prerequisite is that you exist. See, because I'm pointing to your existence.
These are the Advaita answers that I have. You know, like I have this whole.
No, but you can have
like
a notion for how unworthy you are or how worthy you are. You see? What I'm saying is that it is not applicable as a concept itself.
No, it's not.
You see? The worthiness itself as a concept is not applicable. You see? Because there is no benchmark for worthiness. I am saying that you exist. You see? Exactly. And your existence is enough to hear what I'm saying. You see? So no condition, no state, no past, no future, nothing is needed. So the tracking of worthiness as a concept is not needed because it's not applicable. It's like saying, how old does one have to be? Even that might have a better answer actually. But how old does one have to be to recognize what they are? There is no such answer. Some are very young, Bhagavan recognized at a very young age. There are many who recognize much older. So no qualitative or quantitative distinction is needed. So worthiness as a concept itself belongs to a different sphere. It does not belong to what we are talking about.
But this concept doesn't, it's not like getting so much attention, but it's always present. I mean, relatively speaking, it's always present. It's like absolutely.
Like it's just like the secret soldier who's just waiting, the guerrilla warfare, you would say, because nothing is always present except yourself. But what you mean is just lurking in the background somewhere, waiting to show up whenever the option.
It's just annoying, and I just want to expose it because, like, it doesn't get that much belief, but it comes around, and always there's always an attempt to. It comes in many forms and interpretations and in all kinds of thought processes, and even in dreams. So like it's one of those stickier, like sort of annoying concepts that doesn't just.
When did you, do you have any recollection of, or what is your first recollection of feeling unworthy?
Because just as a child and not getting, like getting a lot of criticism. Very, not good enough ever, and all of this story that sure many people. And then getting told very much that I'm just not worthy in very clear words. My father was an alcoholic, and he was very abusive. So he said some very awful things. But so that was probably where it kind of started
to show
it's
up.
Not unusual, not very understandable. Like it's not. I don't blame myself for anything for having this sense of unworthiness, but it is just not. Just there, exposed. It was always for you. It was always there for you to keep, but just to verbalize it. More than I've done. So.
Yeah, you say. But then you rightly said that it's not an uncommon notion. But I'm telling you that, I'm telling all of you that it is not applicable. In the sense that it is as useful as saying, how tall does one have to be to find freedom?
I hope not very tall.
Let me not give you a new concept. That's what I mean by not applicable. What did you eat for breakfast today? Decides whether you get freedom today or not. You see, it's like saying that. It's just not applicable. So, and I know that Shanti, especially because she's been in Satsang with me a long time, she knows that this concept is really not applicable, but this is the power of conditioning, especially childhood conditioning, where something has been deeply ingrained, and it can feel like it takes a period of time before it can seem to just become, it is actually nothing, but to even see that it is truly never applicable can seem to take a period of time in this play. But exposing it, especially exposing it in the light of Satsang and in front of the Sangha itself is very beautiful.
But as much as that is the other end of it.
Yeah.
Feeling like completely worthy.
Super worthy.
Super worthy.
Yeah. That's why I said not applicable either way is. Louder or closer?
It's very hard to hear you.
It's just
No. Nobody can hear.
You have to repeat it.
Yeah.
Just go closer. No, it's okay. Bring this chair. Yeah.
This is louder and closer.
That's what he really wanted.
So what he said so far is that maybe I just wanted your attention. So many times it happens like this, where somebody sharing with me and saying this happened, this like that, and then when you look, you say, actually I know it's nothing. So I say, you just wanted to say hello. So, hello.
I still sulk,
Sulk?
Like 4 years ago,
Yeah.
still happening. It's totally stupid.
Some sulking is sweet. It's sweet also at a particular level in the play.
I don't want to be stupid.
Nobody does. I remember one time he was very upset with me because, he presents this, like, visually he can feel like a older man. So then
I am.
So, what is happening was a lot of running around was to be done for the retreat or booking tickets or something like that. And I would tell the younger boys and say, can you just get this organized? Can you get this done? Can you get this? So one day this one was very upset with me because why you tell everyone else to do work but you never tell me to do anything?
Still do.
Still that kind of sulking. One day you'll be the volunteer for this place. Tomorrow. All the seva you want to do. In fact, Dishti does need a break. So what is this time sulking about? Is today's tantrum day or? I asked for it by saying I want to get feedback. Thank you, Father. It's really helping so much. That's what happens when you have expectations.
I want to be close to you, but I don't want to be close to you. I want to be one with you. I don't want to be close to you. I don't want to be close to you. It's a very painful position, And I'm suffering because of that many times. It's stupid, actually. Sadhguru is in your heart. You
don't have any position. Then?
Yeah, and the other day I asked that I want to stay. I want to stay. I don't want to move. And after I asked you that, there was more absorption and enjoying myself so much more. Your grace. And you took a big worry off of my head. My son is good now. Thank you so much. Yeah. I really am enjoying the beauty of your being. This is my being. Thank you. I really enjoyed so much. But sometimes, 2 days ago, there was such an incredible energy. I came and I was so jealous.
Yeah.
And you caught it and you eased it for me. 2 days ago, so I like to sing to you, but I know for the fact that I'm not a good singer.
You're a very good singer. Now, this is false humility.
No, I'm not in the level of Radha or Atma.
Everybody is unique in that.
Yeah. I understand that. I don't want to push. I don't want to feel jealous. But I felt so jealous, And it surprised me. It really surprised me. Because I don't want to feel all those stupid emotions. Because I know my taste. I don't want. Yeah.
very good to expose this. In fact, for all of us, for me, primary is satsang. The rest of it, singing, reading, all of that is second. It is part of the joy of being together. In fact, I hope Radha won't mind me saying this, but first time she was going for album recording, she came to say bye to me, and I said, sing and sing beautifully, but don't come back as a singer. Because even that can become an identity. Oh, I sing so well. She is very good with that. I don't feel like satsang has ever become secondary to singing for her. It's always been satsang for her. So all of this is part. Somebody makes some particular dish in this way, somebody makes it in this way. There's a great enjoyment in every taste. Have you heard me sing?
You're good. You're good. Some of the songs you're good. That song you sang and we all danced. I don't know what song that was. And Omkar did the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there was so much. There was so much. What do you call?
Not everything in its own unique taste and flavor. It's not a thing at all. But I know that these things, these worldly appearances, sometimes can trigger some condition. Because you used to sing also. In the previous place, you were like a impaneled singer. Or something.
I was singing every day, so I could sing better than what I'm singing now. So that's not the thing. I just want to expose that. I was so horrifying, horrifying.
Also, when some of these things appear, don't make a judgment about yourself based on that.
I know.
The envy is coming.
I know all that. I know all that.
Know that this too shall pass.
I know all that. I know it's not me. It's universal.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with me. And still, I was so gripped in that. It's so beautiful to be with you. And it's getting sweeter and sweeter.
And there is no jealousy, it is extremely sweet.
I'm sorry, sometimes I used to take it so casually.
No,
because it's coming every day and once,
There's so many days, maybe months, we spent just the two of us in Satsang and broadcast.
Not just a few of us.
Few of us. And Jaya for some time.
Jaya. And all of you. Every day we used to hug you like crazy. Only few of us. Kapil, the Shiv, Masa, the three. I can see it's going to be rarer and rarer.
No, you never know. I might start sharing some things which are not so popular. It should be again you and me.
I can see the floodgates open. I can see beings are being attracted.
Well, this is the season.
No, I can see beings being attracted. It's normal. That's how it happens. The great master like you attracts so many beautiful beings. Come, they have to come. Yeah, so beautiful. I don't take so much time. It's so beautiful to be with you.
Okay, you want to sing something?
No, I don't sing.
You want to sing something?
I don't sing.
You were going to say something about it?
Well, I was just saying that how the Sangha just explains it. It just takes a lot of courage.
You can come closer and say it's an important thing to say.
No, it's not important.
No?
I don't know, I just like the way the Sangha explains it. It's just so beautiful. It's not easy sometimes.
Tantrum Thursdays. That's why then on Friday we'll say, thank God it's Friday. And it says, actually Sangha is a play of innocent kids. We do not know how to play adult with each other. Gabriel says, whenever others are finished, I have a question in the chat. It seems that the heart space is where I am. Where I am originates or resides, yes, like physically in the chest. The brain area is where all of these sense perceptions are mixed into this super perception and attention to these perceptions. Meanwhile, the upper half of the body area seems, as silly as it sounds, to be where the self is met. When you say meet yourself, my question is that it seems, meanwhile the upper half of the body area, as silly as it sounds, to be where the self is met when you say meet yourself. My question is that it seems, although there is awareness of the lower portion of the body, legs and such, the meeting of the self isn't so prevalent here. Just a bunch of sensation called legs and feet and such. It has been bothering me, and I don't know if I'm asking a question in such a way that it is for me. Yes. The sense of being for most, I can say, seems to have its core or center in that which coincides, I'm saying coincides, not locates, coincides with that which feels like the physical heart area. All of us have many layers of existence. And because this one layer of existence, the body, seems like the most obvious, most tangible one, we correlate all the other layers of our existence into this. So that when, even many times in satsang, the hand will go there, you see? Because although the hand is on the physical, it is actually something which is being experienced at another level of existence, see, which is the level of being. At the core of this, which Bhagavan used to call the heart, seems to be the central point of this sense of being. And yet it has to be said that consciousness does not always play in this way for everyone. Because for some, like even Maharaj used to say that just this sense of being is everywhere and it has no core. So as part of this dynamic play of consciousness, for some it can seem so apparent. Like Bhagavan used to say, heart. And Maharaj used to say just everywhere, not just any particular location. So this, I have to say, yes, that here it coincides where, see, the sense of being seems to have a strong light in that which coincides with what is experienced as a physical heart. But I can see that it is this heart of being which contains all other sensations, all other phenomena. So it's just that the position gets reversed, where it can feel like, the true heart is contained close to my physical heart, seeing that it is this true heart which actually contains all other sensations and perceptions, and yet it seems to have a strong point of light, a strong point of intensity closer to that which seems like a physical heart. And yes, it is also true, the other part of what you say, I like the innocence and integrity with which you shared your report, that as we look at this, as we are meeting ourselves, it can seem like attention goes to the higher vibrations and sensations which are experienced. And they do seem to correlate with these body sensations which are higher up. But you will find more and more that these higher vibrations actually contain all aspects of our existence, including every part of our body, our feet, our legs, everything. It also, everything is included in that. But you, as you are meeting yourself, whatever seems most natural to you, just stay with that. We are not making any real distinction between the sensations. I'm just sharing, reassuring you that that is a natural, normal part of our worldly existence when we come to a deeper meeting with ourselves. And Aparna is being the Advaita police today, so she's saying there's no one to feel free. No, it's okay. Last question. Yes.
It's not a question.
Closer and louder.
You know very well. After that devotional drama, yesterday it was so funny. Everything was revealed to be a concept. So I come in here, this expression coming here. I think something is also a story. It was very, very evident yesterday night. So funny.
Sweet.
So funny. Yeah, it was literally a joke. Oh, I was crazy about some forms and now moving from this side of the scale to this side of the scale, it's no, hearing this Ribukita recitation for a couple of times yesterday in your voice. It's so evident, this is it, whatever is happening or going to happen, I'm untouched. I don't know, yesterday night it was very bad. It's kind of, I will not say it has gone away. I'm not getting the right word, whether it is residing or diminishing or whatever it is. I don't know, there was some energy jerks, thinking about who is the one looking, who am I? I still don't know who am I, and I'm not bothered also, because I'm not bothered. Simply and there is no one here. These are all just expressions. No doer. It's just happening, and gym human. he says something like this. He says this curtain and this body are same. He says something like that. I want to badly hear it, but then again, like there is no one like who wants to hear and contemplate, and it's just no business, like Still, there was something like you do this, like you will get there. Like no, there is no getting, like nowhere to go, nothing to do, nothing to get. But what now? Like no one is bothered about now. Like oh no. The story goes on, and yeah, nothing matters. I don't know what
So right now,
yeah.
all concepts are also gone. No? Because what can happen a bit is that there can be one concept and the opposite concept, and another concept and the opposite of that. Then this play of opposites can go on. And for a while, there's some enjoyment in this. Oh, this cancels this cancels that, this cancels this. But this is just naturally here.
Yeah. But, yeah.
See?
This devotion stuff like
But came really fast.
like you know, like many know very well that this God and this stuff are like part of the story, but still they talk about it.
Just various names for the one being.
But is it so dry? Like
You're not looking dry at all.
no, I may say this, but this love and bliss, they are not coming up. That's okay. I'm not
One
concerned.
time, what happened is Radha, she's feeling a lot of bliss. So she said, Father, this is not normal. Will I ever come back to normal? I just want to be normal. This is too much bliss, too much. Then we got on the bus to Thiruvannamalai. And on the bus she started, Father, it's become too dry. There's just no bliss. Will it ever come back? The bliss will ever come back. And then we got close to Thiru and she's like feeling so much bliss. Father, it's back. The bliss is back. Whatever consciousness wants to taste. Very tasty. There is no certain way that it has to be.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
And that's all like in this expression.
All
like
of
it's
this
all
is
about
part of this expression. Sometimes very devotional sense can come. Sometimes very sense of just a sober existence can be there. Okay. One thing is clear that from our experience of this realm, we can say that consciousness likes the taste of contrast. So sometimes it will seem quite dry, sometimes it will
Here
very...
it likes variety shows.
Variety show, yes.
Every minute, yeah. It's like that, yeah, you know.
Variety show.
Variety.
So like I say, no, that
it just doesn't want to stay in one for too long.
It likes this. It does not like duplication. It does not like redundancy. That's why every aspect of its creation is so unique. Every flower, every leaf, every tree, everything is.
I wanted to witness miracles. Then again, like it's revealed to me, like this is a miracle.
Yeah.
This
is
yeah.
miracle, yes.
And
that's why it's always been so funny to me that we become very like, oh, this is so wonderful, miracle happened when something tiny changes in this, really, from the normal flow, seemingly normal flow of things. But we rarely marvel at the miracle of just this.
so this word, like staying there, also doesn't make sense. So there's a so.
Yeah, but I hardly use it. At least I feel I hardly say it.
Yeah, no, it's coming from here, like, but that doesn't make sense. So
Because you cannot leave. It only doesn't make sense because it is seen that it cannot be left. A man is stuck on a deserted island, suppose, and he has no way to escape. There are no boats, there is nothing. Then how can we give him the advice to just stay there? He can't leave anyway.
yeah.
So you can't really leave the self. But when the sages have said, stay as the self or remain as the self, what they imply is don't pick up the false pretense. Not that something fundamentally changes because of that, but it's just that in the play of the pretense, you will bother the sage more. This is happening to me, that is happening to me. All that is the pretense. The sage doesn't want to be bothered with all that. Just remain as a self.
Let's end it.
But I'm very happy. One thing that I must point out to everyone is that many of you are reporting on this, how the mind can become very attached to even Advaita position. And the concepts of Advaita, I feel like these are the final concepts, I have to hold on to those. But that's not what I'm saying. It's very important. I'm happy to hear these reports that empty of all notions. That's why Bhagwan's example is very good when he says these words which are being shared in Satsang are just the thorns that we are using to remove other thorns and then to be thrown away. Or he says it is like the stick which we are using to light the funeral pyre, and then that stick is also thrown in the fire. And I'm very happy because as you are noticing this, that means that you cannot create a spiritual ego out of this, that I have the best concept now, I've learned the best things, and when this comes and I'm just trying to, and what happens is that we're still fighting conceptually with things when they appear. Say, no. In the heart, some grief could be arising, but outwardly you're saying, no, nothing is happening to me. Nothing. So that adds to like a resistance to what is. As we remain in our emotions, whatever is arising is arising. We stay with the insight of what we are. Just that in my unlimitedness, all is welcome to come. So we don't need to use our mind to resolve something in life or to fix or to clarify something. That's why Bankai said, all things are perfectly resolved in the unborn. Such a beautiful line, one of the most beautiful lines I've ever read. All things are perfectly resolved in the unborn. And the unborn is our natural, functionless existence anyway. That means everything is just what it is. Nitya wanted to come up. Did we miss Nitya? Nitya, you can come, my dear.
I think it's not important anymore to say anything. It's just I can. There's just my battery. There is a shyness here, you know, a shyness here to show myself, to show my true self, you know what I mean? To be funny and do is all fine, but to show my true self, there's a shyness here, and I just wanted to speak that out. So actually, I feel very, very detached and very, very happy and light, and even, you know, it's just always, an awareness is just always there, and everything can arise in it. Everything is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And also, I feel detached from everything. So since I'm back, it's just very, very beautiful. And I find myself really sometimes very, very cheeky, and, you know, because I've just forgot everything, you know, all these inside rules, you know, what used to determine my behavior. So they just fall away, and I cannot remember them anymore, and find myself really being very cheeky at times to my boss, you know, and talking like it's very funny, and finding myself, oh, what it's just very funny. And also with my mom, you know, she's really not doing well, and but I'm so at peace with everything, you know. Just I'm very grateful, just very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. Such a beautiful, beautiful report. And sending all our love and blessings to your mother as well. She feels better soon. As we are letting go of this presumed sense of control, a sense of wonder about everything seems to increase. Even the actions and the movements happening in this body, the words that are being spoken. You see, sometimes I can feel like, is this one being so cheeky? That is so strange. You see, these kind of things can come. And it's just beingness, enjoying itself as beingness itself, without the notions of individuality. It can seem like even the outward play sometimes, even the body sometimes becomes very unrecognizable compared to the one that was before they came to satsang. The words, the amount they smile, the joy they exude, the words they speak, the kind of tone they have, everything can seem to change. Okay? And yet, none of that is a prerequisite. If nothing changes, even that is fine. It's all good. It's all good. Mahesh says, sometimes thoughts arise as a ravenous curiosity about something that is not known in the moment, accompanied by a strong belief that I must know in order to be fulfilled, as if I am missing an integral piece of the jigsaw image of myself. I see that when these thoughts are not arising, when no thoughts are arising, there is no sense of incompleteness. This is simply presence. Also, I see the play of conditioning, the childish expression, the fears, the desires. They play through the body and the voice. But I recognize it is not who I am. I am not identifying with the play. I feel free. In this play, for a long time, we have relied on the lesser forms of knowing. We relied on conceptual knowing. Like if I have the concept about something, I presume that I know it. We just have a belief, an opinion about it. We don't really know it. Just if it's just conceptual. Then there's a greater form than conceptual knowing, but still a lesser form of knowing, which is perceptual knowing. Oh, I know it because I saw it. I know it because I heard it. So to rely on these perceptions, it's a greater form of knowing, greater than at least conceptual knowing. But it is still phenomenal, still part of this worldly play. And this perceptual knowing, then we can expand into even this sort of sensational knowing, emotional knowing, all this form of knowing which is part of this phenomenal play. Now the beautiful thing is that in our notionlessness, when we are empty of just this conceptual notion about ourselves, we naturally experience this deepest knowing, the true knowing, knowingness itself, this awareness itself is completely apparent. But the instrument of this lesser knowing feels lost. It feels as if it is at sea. So it tries to grab onto some beautiful concepts to explain what was actually known. You see? And at times when it does not do a good job of it and it doesn't have concepts to share, it can feel like, no, there is something insufficient in my existence, in my awareness of my existence. You see? And then it tries to sell us the idea that something has to be known for you to become complete. So I'm happy that you spot this. When you say that, and I'm just here, I feel no sense of lack or incompleteness. There is no need to know anything at all. This knowingness is the source of all intelligence. And that is why it is also called the supreme intelligence. What we know from concepts cannot even come close to the intelligence which is just naturally here. So we don't exchange this supreme being for just a conceptual notion about ourselves. And all that we can know in this conceptual way is just that, trying to replicate the beauty, the majesty of your being in some words or concepts about yourself. All this is gone naturally in this moment. And I just am. There is nothing missing here. The supreme intelligence of the self is at play in the play of even the phenomenal functioning of this world. Nothing needs to be done. Nothing needs to be not done. Just all that appears, including the movement of this body, including the movement of these words. All of this can happen in your great openness, in your great spaciousness, which is your natural presence. Akash says, what can I do to realize that I am all alone and to realize it without falling back into delusion? Actually, even the concept of alone relies on the concept of separation somewhere. You see? When you're checking on what is naturally present, you are just finding that there is just one existence. I am. And this one existence is limitless. It is actually all there is. You see? So I want to tell you that you are the unlimited one, the unlimited being, which is the source of all things, of all appearances. They come and they dissolve only within you. Now, if you did not have the concept of alone, then this would not be troublesome. But I know this, that many times it can feel like, but this means that I am the only one. You see? And in that hidden also is again limited notion of what you are. I am saying that you are beyond the play of one and many. You are that one which is beyond the phenomenal play of one and many. So the concept of alone or with company or alone or with others does not apply. You are not a thing at all. If you were an object, then I could say yes. Are you an alone object or are there many of you? But you are not an object at all. You are that in which all time and space takes birth. So you say, what can I do to realize that I am alone? And to realize it without falling back into delusion. For this, I have some very good news. Just naturally in this moment, whether your mind agrees or not, this truth is completely apparent to you that there is only one existence. It is completely apparent to you in this moment. And the only way to play as if you're stuck in delusion is to buy what your thoughts are telling you about yourself. But whatever they might be saying, in that very moment when you check, you will see that the truth has not left you. It is always here. So the good news is that you never actually fall into delusion, but many times consciousness seems to play with the pretense of separation or delusion. And that is why we have satsang every day, Monday to Friday, as often as you can. Whenever life makes a space for it, you can come to satsang. And you will soon be reporting that it just seems like it is impossible to fall back into delusion. It's just so clear to me that I can never be stuck. And I will recommend even then to keep coming to satsang. Thank you all so much for being in satsang today. Sadguru Shri Muji Baba ki Jai.
Sadguru Shri Ananta Ji ki Jai.